On today's show, the boys are back. Let's talk Dallas Mavericks training camp on what we've learned so far. And also, could Jrue Holiday be worth the risk? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
How about 10 Mavericks, NBA champions? Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Join the Raccoon Squad, be an everyday, or subscribe, follow for free. Just search Locked On Mavericks wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. The best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section. What's one thing you've learned so far from Mavs training camp, if anything? You can say nothing, too. Put nothing in the comments if you've learned nothing on it. If you want to support the show, get text alerts from us on training camp. I've been sending alerts on things that I've learned, things that I've seen at training camp, and all that stuff that you're not getting on Twitter. Go ahead and subscribe to our subtext. Click the link in the description or text the number on the screen shortly. Joining me, as always and forever, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com, Studio 41, the We Back Boy, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
I'm back, baby. I'm back. My dad here just picked me up from the airport. It was a cool moment. I mean, if you're an audio listener, I'm in Nick's crib right now, recording the pod. But literally had our 10-year anniversary trip.
Not us. Him and his wife.
Okay, well, yeah. with my wife, and I was like, you know what? When we were planning it, it's like, got to cut this thing a day short because
that's right.
I got to fly back do media day, and so yeah, my wife is in a different state right now.
No one say he's not dedicated. Left his wife at their 10-year anniversary celebration to come back for media day.
To spend 24 hours in Dallas to do media day with, and Nick and I are gonna interview players on Friday, like we have the past few years, but it should be fun.
So since he was here and he had nothing to do, he's got no kids, he's got no wife, he's got your kids are in a different.
Dog's even gone.
I was gonna say your kids are in a different state than even your wife is, right?
I actually need a ride tomorrow, so if anyone wants to take me to the AAC in the morning. Anyway.
Oh, my gosh. So we decided, hey, we're together. I just picked him up from the airport. I live really close, and we might as well do an extra show. Did a show with Dana Larson earlier today, so if you didn't listen to that.
Dana's the best.
Dana was there at training camp with me, and so we've got some thoughts on the rookies. We've got thoughts on Kyrie. Kyrie really seems like he's at home with the Mavericks, and so we'll talk about that with Dana. Go check out that episode. As Isaac said, we'll also have tons of media day stuff. We'll have interviews. We've got a station. We're expecting to have every player. Will we get every player? We'll see. Media day can be nuts, but every player is on our checklist, and so we'll put them all up on YouTube. We'll be talking about them on the podcast.
But like last year, we got Nico.
We did. We got Nico.
That was kind of unexpected. So
we did not get Jason Kidd, even though I did not think that I didn't think that would happen. I think after last year, we're definitely not getting Jason Kidd. If I had to guess.
I don't know.
But we also didn't get KP last year, which was the one that.
A lot of national media going to be there on Friday. So
KP 2 years ago. Sorry. I was thinking about 2 years ago.
Sure.
But yeah, a lot of national media is supposed to be there. It's supposed to be a really packed day because the Mavericks are one of the only teams doing training camp that day. Everybody else is kind of doing them on Monday. I was talking with a lot of Locked On hosts today about that. So yeah, so watch out for that. Subscribe to the subtext. We'll be sending alerts throughout all media day on subtext too, behind the scenes stuff that we see and all that. So let's start with this though. Damian Lillard got traded. Whoa! Where were you? What was your response from a Mavs angle?
I was in Washington, D.C., and my phone was being used as a GPS. And finding parking in D.C. is dumb.
It's very tough.
Finally park. I get my phone off the car mount, and I look at it, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. He went to Milwaukee, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, it's a win for small markets. I think that's
true. That's a good point.
I think that's cool. There's a lot of layers to it. I mean, we could do a lot of non-Mavs layers to it. For the sake of the segment, my mind immediately went to, well, where the heck is Jrue Holiday going? And
that's where it should go.
I shot out a tweet super quick, and it was like, I didn't even have to think about it too long. I've sat on it now for, I don't know, a week, and I still feel the same. Or not even a week, however long it's been, 3 or 4 days. Still feel the same. If the Mavericks can get Jrue Holiday, you go get Jrue Holiday. Like, you have to go get Jrue Holiday if he's on the market.
Can we start with, you thought it was a week? It was yesterday.
Was it really yesterday?
Yes,
There's no way. I was not in D.C. yesterday.
It was Wednesday.
It was Tuesday.
No, it was Wednesday because I was in the water cooler with all the Locked On hosts, and then immediately me and Pat recorded Locked On NBA, and we record on Wednesdays. It was literally yesterday.
Dang, that's dumb. I swear that was Tuesday.
On today's show, Isaac realizes what day of the week it is.
I don't even know. I don't even know.
But yeah, the big question for the Mavericks now is, where does Jrue Holiday go? I talked about it with Landon Thomas the other day, and we were both like, well, he would be an upgrade. It would be great. Should the Mavericks give up any kind of assets? Where do you stand? Should they give up any assets for Jrue Holiday?
Yes, you should give up assets. You know, I was kind of surprised. There were a lot of people. I went back and checked my Twitter after I sent the tweet, like an hour or so later, just kind of scrolling through the notifications.
Like 2 weeks ago.
And a lot of people, agree, but there was a decent amount of people who were like, no, we don't need 3-point guards.
Yeah, the too many guards take is one I've seen a lot.
I don't understand the too many guard takes. Luka is 6'8". What are we like? How are you counting him as like 3-point guards here? Yes, on offense he's a point guard, but he's 6'8". Jrue Holiday guards up. Like Jrue Holiday is guarding the other perimeter defender, like main guys in the league. So the 3-guard take doesn't matter anything to me at all. Like that's gone. The only thing that I look at is the contract and the age and some of the stuff about him, like, hey, when's he gonna hang it up, all of that. But honestly, I think he's such a perfect fit, even with Kyrie here, and the leadership and the vet. We have screamed for a veteran leader like him also to be like a part of the rotation, and this dude would take on like everything that we've envisioned, saying Josh has to be the point of attack defender. Well, now you would get one of the best in the league. And then on top of that, you would keep Grant Williams in a potential trade. Like, I would give up Josh. I would give up a protected pick probably to get him.
Josh and a protected pick?
I would. Yep. Because for me, that puts Dallas, if you're telling me Dallas has Luka, Kyrie, and Jrue Holiday, along with Grant Williams, they keep the rookies, they still have some flexibility, some other things. To me, that puts them in the top 4 of the Western Conference. And right now, if you're Dallas, you're looking at what Milwaukee just did to get Damian Lillard for Giannis, and all the other moves, what they've tried to do, bringing in vets, swinging for Jrue Holiday initially, and all of that. You're in that camp now. Giannis is like a little phase above Luka, a little bit older, but you're in the camp now to where you do everything. Like, there is no, you got to wait, for 3 or 4 more years and try to, like, you go for it. Like, you just signed Kyrie Irving, who's over 30, to a max contract. So, like, you got to do that. I listened to yesterday's podcast. Josh Green was the hang-up for you.
He is the hang-up for me because he represents a player of need that they really, really need at that spot. He could still grow into something. 40% three-point shooter, can defend on the perimeter. The pick is a big hang-up. Like, both of those things. Hardy would not be. I would trade if it was Hardy and the contracts, like Tim and Rashawn Holmes for Jrue Holiday. Yeah, I would do that every day.
I don't think they would do Hardy because they're young guys. I think Josh could play with their young guys. I don't think Dallas is going to get him. Let me be clear with that, because I think they're going to be able to get two first-round picks for Jrue Holiday. And for Dallas, they don't have that. It's just a matter of, like, does Portland think Josh Green is equal to, like, a future first from another team? I wouldn't do an unprotected first-round pick. It
would have to be protected.
For me, like, I know this is probably in the minority of fans. If it was like Tim, Rashawn Holmes, Josh Green, and a top 20 protected pick for Jrue Holiday, call it in.
That's a move you do after you come off of like a 50-win season and you've been in the playoffs. But like where the Mavericks are now, I've been saying this, and there's somebody on subtext that agrees.
I just got off the plane. I'm firing takes right now. I'm ready.
I said this the other day. The Mavericks need like a gap year a little bit. One where It's like, all right, let's figure out what Luka and Kyrie are. Let's get back in the playoffs, and then let's make our move, right? The pick will still be there. Hardy will still be there. Josh will still be there. They'll have Omax and Lively. Like, they'll still have all these assets we're talking about. None of them are going away. Like, the asset is gone if we don't use it right now. Whereas if you're Giannis and then the Bucks, they're like, all right, our assets are gone. Especially when they made the first Jrue Holiday trade, they had Middleton, they had Brook Lopez. Like, they were already kind of ready to go at that point and needed to make that next move.
We have Omax. We have no, I was just kidding.
Where the Mavs are like, okay, let's just right the ship right now. And yeah, Jrue Holiday would right the ship really well, but that doesn't put you over the. Does it put you over the top? You think they'd be top 4?
I do
at that point,
but you can't tell Luka, hey, man, cool. We got a fun trip coming up. Madrid's gonna be fun. So what about a gap year? What you think? You want to take this year off?
But it's not off. Like, they still need to make the playoffs with this team. But it's like figure out what they have with Luka and Kyrie. All these teams that we've seen with like stars that make the finals, they have like that year where they've got to figure it out and like put it together. And then the next year, like, they win, right? You never see like 2 stars get together and win the title. Not even Kobe and Pau did that the first year. Like, they needed that.
If they had Jrue, is there a playoff series that you're going into and you're thinking Dallas doesn't have a shot to win?
Nuggets, because you still have no answer for Jokic at all.
I still think they'd have a shot against Denver. A shot. Denver would definitely be the favorite, and definitely over Phoenix.
It's so tough though, because you start to put it through, and you're like, okay, can they cobble together just enough defense? Is Lively just good enough? Jrue Holiday like can really hurt Jamal Murray, and then all of a sudden, like, you have places to hide Luka and Kyrie a little bit with KCP and with Aaron Gordon probably. Because, like, Aaron Gordon's not going to post up Luka the same way he was posting up guys throughout the playoffs when they tried to hide.
True.
On him. But, yeah, that would be a tough one. So, I don't know. To me, it's not enough of a move to where it pushes them forward enough to give up 2 assets like that and to have another pick tied up. Because then all of a sudden, like, then you don't have picks to trade for a while.
So they should be out on Jrue. Because, like, you're going to have to give up 2 assets.
Yeah, right.
True.
No, it's true.
I can't in my heart say I'm out on Jrue.
Because for years on this very show, you and I have both been like, go get Jrue Holiday. Get Jrue Holiday if you can do it. Yeah. No, it's so tough.
Are we doing breaks today or no?
I blew through that last one, didn't I? Just we're going so well. This is a bonus, so we can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want.
We should have just went live.
We can still do that.
D live.
we can go D live on it.
All right. Do you have any more Jrue stuff? Because I want to ask you about
because I'm obviously still going back and forth on whether they should just go all in on it. I need to see the price. Everyone keeps saying, oh, it'll take this. You even were like, it's got to take 2 assets. Do we know it takes 2 assets? The Bucks just got Damian Lillard for Jrue Holiday, 1 pick, 2 swaps, and Grayson Allen, Ted Cruz. Like that's all they get.
I think in part it's because they know what they're going to be able to get for Jrue. And kind of like if you match up the Tyler Hero and Jrue, you're going to get more for Jrue Holiday from another team than you would for Tyler Hero.
Yeah. But I don't know what that is. Apparently the Blazers know what it is, but I don't know what it is. I would need to know that to make this final decision. Even though a Luka, Jrue Holiday, Kyrie backcourt it's nice. That's really good.
He's the perfect guy to offset defensive stuff. I mean, it's literally the Josh Green. That's what was kind of funny about some of the like Twitter replies. It's like, dude, this 3-point guard is never going to work. Like, how are we going to guard people? It's like, all right, well, y'all want to look up the height of Josh Green versus Jrue, but you're okay with Josh starting. Yeah, I think it'd be great. I'm really curious to see where he goes because I do think it could swing a lot. Like, if Jrue goes to the Clippers, I mean, I think that elevates them a lot. Like, everybody wants a Jrue Holiday, so we'll see where he lands. I think Dallas. It would shock me if they were not interested. I think they will be. They're probably just going to get outbid.
You're also doing Jrue Holiday for a year, and then maybe 1 more. He has a player option year after next. He probably picks that up because what is it? It's like almost $40 million at that point. So he probably picks it up, but you don't know that. And so how much longer does he play? Are you giving up multiple trade assets for 1 year of Jrue Holiday? That I can't do if I'm the Mavericks.
Yeah, but it also goes into how are you ranking the trade assets? Dereck Lively, Omax, Josh, the future first, Jaden Hardy. I mean, I think we both would probably put Lively and Omax in the top 2.
In our hearts. In our hearts, they would be up there.
That first round pick, is probably up there in contention of that.
Yeah.
But, I would say it's pretty safe, especially with, there's no extension yet for Josh. So we'll see what happens with that, or if anything happens with that. But fascinated, though.
Where do you want him to end up?
Who, Josh?
Jrue.
In the East, that'd be great.
Can he stay
if
over
he wants
there?
to go, if he wants
Miami,
to go,
Miami would stink.
No.
Miami just gives all the assets they were going to give for Damian Lillard.
There's
for Jrue
nothing
Holiday.
more enjoyable right now than Miami Heat Twitter. Like, it's just absolutely incredible. Hook it up to my veins. And I don't know. I mean, the Pacers would be fun. Is there a three-way deal in that? I'd tell you the team I'm watching right now for Dallas, though, and one player in particular is Rob Williams. If there's a Boston trade with Jrue Holiday, where Jrue goes to Boston and it's Brogdon, they got to have Horford or Rob Williams. It's probably going to be Rob Williams over Horford. Like, why does Portland really want Rob Williams whenever they just got Ayton? Do they ship him somewhere else? And then is it Rob Williams going to Dallas? Dallas sending something else to
It would probably be
Portland.
Rashawn Holmes, because that contract matches Rob Williams.
Yeah, so I'd have to look at the money stuff. I was obviously thinking about this way too much on the plane, and that's the one I'm really watching the most right now, because Boston, I think it's been reported that they've shown interest in Jrue. I mean, every team really, but if Jrue went to Philly, fun. I kind of don't want him to, because I want to see where Embiid potentially ends up in the future.
You want him gone.
Jrue on the Knicks would be a lot of fun. Jrue on the Pacers, like I said, but I mean, I would love him on the Magic, but I kind of count the Magic out of any big deal at this point.
The Warriors have been a name people have brought up. If they reroute Chris Paul.
Ugh. I mean, I don't mind the Warriors. I mean, if they get Jrue, that'd be awesome for them. I mean, you have 6 players right there you got the best 6 in the league at that point.
Ugh, I hate that. I hate that you just said that. Okay, Mavs Training Camp. Takeaways. What's a thing that you're hearing a lot that you saw in some of the sessions that you're like, oh, you were surprised by?
Yeah, I wrote down a bunch of different notes. I mean, I think it's notable that there's an overall acknowledgement of Luka's thigh, that this isn't just something that they've kind of just, hey, he'll be fine. They haven't just kind of swept it underneath the rug. They
don't know what it is.
Yeah, they
don't know what it is, but they haven't swept. They've been upfront. Like Luka said, I've got appointments on it. I don't know what appointments means.
Yeah,
but
like kids acknowledged it. Luka acknowledged it. So that was that was a thing. I was like, interesting. We knew it bothered him in the World Cup stuff, and I think the other thing was about the speaking of World Cup, Luka had a small thing about him playing off ball.
Yeah.
In the World Cup stuff, and he made one little comment, and it was just like it was a validation for us, because we talked about him playing off ball in World Cup, and he had that one little comment where he said, and it's less tiring too.
Yeah.
And it was just a subtle little thing, but it's like that we made such a big emphasis on that, about whenever you have somebody else like Kyrie, they had Prepelic, they had Nikolic bringing the ball up a lot in the World Cup, and just letting Luka just kind of chill out and come down the floor, not have to be picked up full court and all of that. So I think we're going to see that a lot. It's just a small way for them to kind of, I don't know, keep his legs.
Yeah, they need it. They need those guys to be playing off each other. The lack of offensive emphasis in any way at all, like even the end of practice that we got to see today on Thursday, like they were running like 5-on-0, just like training, and Luka and Kyrie weren't in it at all. And Jason Kidd hasn't mentioned offense once, basically in the whole thing. And if he did, it's like, oh, we don't worry about offense because we know that Luka and Kyrie are going to make it work. They're really focused on defense. But I don't know how much they're going to change offense. They're just betting on Luka and Kyrie to figure it out, to both work together, and to just make everybody else work around them too, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, and the the kind of move to them being just bigger, defensively, and I love, training. There's nothing like for us fans when training camp starts. And I joked about it on Twitter about we're just so desperate. We're so hungry for content.
There's been one video of a Luka Dereck Lively pick and roll by Mavs social media, and so many people have run with it. I tweeted a video of I tweeted one today of Dereck Lively
him setting screens
working.
And it wasn't even a good screen.
No, they were running slip screens where it was or a ghost screen or whatever, where they didn't even take the screen, but it was Tyson Chandler working with Dereck Lively and Grant Williams, and there were so many people post more, show me more. They're just so hungry for any kind of visual stuff right now.
And we are too. I'm all about it. And I'm man, hats off. Jay Lim and the crew, at the Mavs, just cranking out stuff to put it on social because we're all just dying for it. And I thought it was so funny the first day because we're all looking at who's on what scrimmages in the highlight. The 30-second thing on Twitter, it's all right, who's wearing blue jerseys?
Not going to lie. I read into it today. I sent it to the subtexters. I said, Jaden Hardy is running with this third-tier group of Rashawn Holmes, Markieff Morris, AJ Lawson, Mike Miles. And he wasn't with the bench guys. It was Dwight, Maxey, Josh Green. I can't remember who else was with that group. Seth Curry was with that group. But yeah, Hardy was in a tier below, and it kind of made me think, do they think about him that way? Or
if you're in the camp of hey, Jaden Hardy's going to have a massive role at the beginning of this year, it might be a tough start for you. And not that, once again, do you have the Jason Kidd drop of I don't tell you the truth?
I got many drops.
I don't always tell you guys the truth.
Bingo. So take this for a grain of salt, or however you want to say it. I forgot what the phrase is. You got your Jase case over there.
Take it for a grain of salt.
Was him talking about, I think it was Eddie who asked Kidd yesterday about Seth, and just raved about him. And this is honestly one of my takeaways. If you had to do the classic blog 3 things from so far of training camp, was how he talked about Seth being a ball handler and how he can run the offense. And even Kyrie talked about it a little bit. And it feels like, just an observation, that they're kind of viewing him as the third ball handler.
Yeah, they are.
And then Kidd even had a quote, I think, at the end of, or the last sentence of his quote about Seth. He's like, Seth's going to be playing a lot.
Yeah.
And so if you just do the process of elimination a little bit of where Hardy's going to get minutes, he's not going to play over Tim. If Seth's going to play too, you're really struggling.
Exum and Tim Hardaway were also running with the first unit, or quote unquote the first unit, because it was just Grant, Omax, Lively,
okay,
Dante, and Tim. And so then you're like, okay, well maybe I'm reading too much into all these groups at that point. But
because that's the thing too, is Jason Kidd talked about the rookies on day one, but then it was the next day he was being asked about some of the rookies or Josh Green, or he's like, hey, if y'all remember last year, I threw Josh Green out there.
Yeah.
I like to throw the rookies out there. So it's is it smoke? Is it true? But that one comment though from Jason Kidd about it's looking like one's going to be a starter. Whoa!
That's giving us food. That's feeding us on this show for weeks.
That's a step further though than hey, we're just getting them time with the big guys. I don't know why he calls them the big guys.
The big group.
Yeah, the big group, which is
group.
3 players, which Kyrie thinks he's a 4, so I guess it's 3 4s out there.
Grant thinks he's a 5, so it's...
But it's he's going to, for him to take that next step of saying it's looking like one's going to be a starter, who is it? Which one?
If I had to guess, it's Lively.
I agree. I think it is too. And there was also something too when he was talking about Josh, and he was like, yeah, we're actually... Paraphrasing, we're going to see how, throw Josh in there with the starters and stuff too. In my mind, I read that as, okay, they have Omax in there right now. They're going to play Josh, they're going to throw Josh in there too. They're trying to figure that out. So if they're figuring that out, it feels which is what I've been wanting this whole time. Just start Dereck Lively from day one. What are we doing? If this is the rotation, you start Dereck Lively day one.
Which I think they're on their way to. We're at least going to see it in preseason. He's at least going to try it. And I talked about this with Dana on the episode earlier today, is that he does want to test these guys and just see what they're like. And he said several times, see how they respond to this, to playing with the starters and playing with Luka and Kyrie. And so if one of them falters, then he's got his security blanket in Dwight Powell to start. He's got his maybe security blanket in Josh Green, or at least guy that's done everything they've asked him up until this point. Do you buy into any of the Jason Kidd's been promoting these rookies, and he said we asked them to come in August, so like way early, and he said they've made so much progress in that time. Do you think that really made a difference that they came in and like worked in that amount of time?
I think it does. I thought he was specifically talking about Dereck Lively.
He was
when he said
Omax came in the same time, but
he's taken a big jump of late.
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, I mean, if Lively starts day one, then it feels like, man, he's definitely put in some work since Summer League. Because if you're just going off Summer League, did look a little raw out there. Yeah. He's going to either way. Like as a rookie, he's still kind of skinny. He's gonna foul and stuff. But like that, I mean, I think it has to mean something, right?
He doesn't look small out there, though. I mean, even just watching him around
he's not
today.
Nerlens.
No, far from that.
Yeah, not Nerlens.
Far from that. Seeing Nerlens walk around was like, how are we the same? Like, how are we both people?
Will your calf break when you step on a rock?
Yeah, he was just so tall, and so like, there's no way that we were the same weight at a certain point. But yeah, Lively doesn't look small. I think he could have made improvements. I mean, we saw him working with Tyson on screens. We know that they've been doing that. We know Tyson called him his little project when whose show was he on? All the Smoke.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I love having a project to work with, and so that's been cool. But I think also Jason Kidd's so sick of having a small center to defend and like not be able to get rebounds and not be able to block shots. And hey, even if Dereck Lively does the role that we expected JaVale McGee to do last year, right? 15 to 18 minutes, just start and do that. Like, would that be so bad?
That's true. No, that's true. Dwight's still going to play some.
For sure, and should.
Yeah.
I don't know if Rashawn Holmes is going to play.
I don't know. We got to see. We got to see what some of those guys in the preseason is going to look like.
It'll be interesting.
Well, if Lively's going up against Towns and Gobert for the first 2 games of the preseason, that's his first 2 games starting. Like, how does he look? Does he look too scared? Does he look the part? Does he look like he belongs? Does he excel? Like, I don't know.
Well, not even just Towns and Gobert. Anthony Edwards, like,
yeah,
because he's gonna have to go out there and like. He's got the channel ones and the veer switching that he's got to worry about with Anthony Edwards, and if he goes out there and can't stick with him and gets completely embarrassed or dunked on or whatever, like we're gonna see him go against a really good attacking guard.
Yes, yeah, I agree. What did you think? What did you think of Kyrie's presser?
Kyrie seemed so...
Did that not just warm your heart?
It seemed so zen. He seemed so calm. And I mentioned this earlier today, but nobody really asked him any kind of like pressing or anything that could be seen as an attack of a question, right? Mm-hmm. Like whether it was or not. No, there was no question asked like that. I don't know that we were like easy on him, but there really hasn't been anything in a while. I mean, are we going to re-dig up his vaccine stuff or re-dig up the documentary tweet or like... there hasn't really been anything. So to me, it seems like he's taken a step forward in life, and like he's 31. He's got 3 kids. This is why I asked about Dana. I'm like, hey, you have kids. Like, does this you got kids? Does it put you that next level where you're like, all right, let me find some peace in my life and let me find some like stability in my life. And I feel like that's where he is at this point, and he's found it in Dallas at least. And I loved all the jokes from all the my national media friends that quote tweeted Kyrie talking about him, like, I wish I would have played my whole career in Dallas because of how they embrace you as a player. And they're like, oh, he's leaving. Like, hey, we don't know. I'm not going to try to predict what Kyrie's going to do, but at least for now, it seems like he's chill and he likes where he is.
Yeah, I mean, he said everything you'd basically want to hear from a Mavs fan. I mean, you can pick right now if you're going to be skeptical about it, or if you're going to believe it or not. Or
yeah, nobody's going to change your mind either.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, yeah. I thought his answer about free agency was very candid. He admitted, about looking around.
He did look, yeah. Everybody
and
should.
All of that, but Dallas is number 1, and all of that. I love, how he's talking about how the organization supports him. There's a bunch of different answers going. He looks just so like comfortable and like at peace with just like where he's at going into camp. I loved him talking about team chemistry and like how you build this. You know, he referenced back last year, which he did. I remember when he first came here, he's like, it takes time to build chemistry, to get to know each other. He's like, and you do that on road trips. You do that, you know, when you're spending time together. And they're about to have a heck of a road trip. Not even a road trip.
I was going to say, they won't even be taking a road to get there. But yeah, they're about to go like on a 13-day international trip. That's going to be pretty wild for him. The other thing that I asked him about getting traded midseason, because he had never been traded midseason. It was the thing that stuck out to me. I kept going back to it because he's like, I've never done this in my career. Like, there's not many things Kyrie hasn't done in his career, and that was one of them, a new experience for him. And he talked about patience, and he really connected it to his personal life and how he had to learn patience. But I wonder if he learned that, like he learned patience for himself and is now taking that to his basketball team. Like, okay, we've got to be patient and build this thing. It's not going to go right away. Whereas it seemed like the last couple of years he was in Boston, he was in Cleveland, didn't want to be in Cleveland, forced his way out, and then got to Boston, and then was in Boston, didn't like where he was, forced his way out, hooked up with KD, and then he was like, okay, well, I don't like where I am now, and then forced his way out to Dallas. Like, you know, he's done that 3 times now, which is why we've called him a flight risk and all that. But now it's like, does he want stability, and does he have more patience in his life, and did that translate to basketball? And I don't know. We'll find out in like a year or 2.
I thought if there was one answer from Kyrie that I thought was just absolutely incredible, was the answer of basically like, why didn't it work at the end of the year? And he just gave the longest answer, hitting it from all these different angles of how hard it was, how the different things that made it hard, from, you know, wasn't blaming an injury, but like mentioned that, and, you know, different roles on the court. It was just a great answer that he didn't have to give, that it could have just been very surface level. And I liked how he talked about Slovenia's national team. I thought that was fun. Just how much he watched him in the World Cup and how much passion.
Him texting Luka and saying that him and Dirk have FIBA World Cup MVPs and they're waiting for Luka to finally get his.
That was good.
That was funny. The one I thought you were going to bring up was that the Mavericks went to him and asked him about his opinion on all their offseason moves. And I mean, that's probably really big for him, because I don't know if the Nets were doing that with him.
I don't know if Bobby Marks is doing that. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly.
I think Bobby Marks has worked there in like over a decade.
Wait, for the Nets?
Yeah, when's the last time Bobby Marks worked for the Nets?
I thought he still worked for the Nets.
Sean Marks.
Bobby
Marks is the one on ESPN.
My bad.
Bobby Marks did work with the Nets. He made the really bad KG
Paul
Paul
Pierce. Where did
trade.
Sean Marks get fired?
You've been gone a long time. It was a long week from yesterday.
It has been a long week. What else was I going to say? No, I mean, how they talk about Kyrie and Luka being like, I mean, we all know it, but even like Jason Kidd's answering your leadership question, which he didn't mention Dwight Powell in that, but
he did not.
Which
he mentioned everybody else.
Dwight's a leader on the team. He probably just forgot it. But like, hey, he's like, hey, it starts with Kyrie and Luka. Like, yeah, it starts with them too, and they're just referenced together so much that it's just like, all right, this is the duo. Everybody's super confident, just like we are. There's nothing you can really like pinpoint of saying like, hey, this is the reason why they're going to work out. It's just like, dude, you just got to give it some time. They'll figure it out. And I think Kyrie said, we're both killers. So like, we're going to figure this thing out. And I loved his, I think it was Landon Thomas who asked the question about, you know, Anta and just like his new deal with Anta and his, you know, role with them. I mean, I think that was the longest answer.
He was very thorough with his answer on that.
Yeah. And, just, I mean, he's a super creative dude and stuff. So, really cool. You know, Mavericks getting both these guys out of the way. First 2 days of camp. They've been running 2-a-days, you know, to get ready for this big trip. It's a shortened camp. That's one of the, you know, if you want to say like a negative is, you know, a lot of the teams, all the other teams are starting next week. And, you know, typically camp is spread out, you know, one practice
after
a day,
media day.
You know, yeah. After media day kicks it off, then you have camp once a day and like all that stuff. They're trying to cram it in right now because then they're about to leave on their flight. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, they're trying to do that. So, any other training camp thoughts?
I don't think so. Is there anything else you noticed obviously I've been on my trip with my wife and you've been there at the practices and for the past 2 days of camp. behind the curtain here, it's not like media gets to just sit there and watch practice
No, I
for 2
wish.
hours.
We got the last 20 minutes today.
Yeah, it's kind of like practice ends, how it typically goes. Practice ends. They do kind of like their last huddle, and then
sometimes they'll scrimmage afterwards, and I love watching that.
Yeah, and then PR will come over and it's like, hey, practice is open. Typically, they're shooting free throws, doing some last drills, or they're scrimmaging.
You know what I did witness? Grant Williams talks a lot.
Luka saying that on day one was
great.
Hilarious.
Shows a connection between the two of them already, that he's already throwing jabs at him. But I also saw Grant Williams it was a 5-on-0 drill, and he went to went for a layup or tried to catch a lob, missed it, did a somersault on the ground, and then laid flat on the ground. And everyone
he didn't jump high enough.
And everyone was just cracking up, and it was great.
Well, fun times. Friday's media day. You guys know that we've been talking about it. We'll have a station. We're about to go over some questions. We'll have some fun with it.
We're about to pack up all this gear.
I don't know if y'all knew this, but we talked to Jalen Brunson.
Back. You had to do it.
I need a recovery beer.
Ugh.
So, stay tuned to our YouTube channel. We'll have all the stuff, all of our interviews with the players, whoever we get tomorrow. And it's a mixture of, if you didn't watch last year's, it's a mixture of some fun, some serious questions about basketball rotations, roles, but also it wouldn't be us if we didn't have some fun with it too. And we're going to have some fun with the players too.
We will. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.